You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.
Hello out there in podcast land. You have reached Johnny Has the Keys, where we talk about horror movies and science fiction films and those key elements that lift them above the average genre fare. I am here with my good friend David. How are you doing today, David?
I'm doing great, Tim. How are you?
I'm good. I guess I could say I am Tim. I am here with my good friend David.
That is correct.
But I wanted to screw it up yet again.
Every time. No.
Kind of omitted that part. Things are going well here. What's been going on in your genre week?
Genre-wise, I'm very happy because of two things. One, I finally caught up on Mandalorian and watched all of season 2.
There's some news about that.
And there is news about that, but that was pretty much anticipated, pretty much.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay, because for a while, Favreau was defending her.
Yeah, well, he was saying, yeah, she has that right, But I think some of her latest ones with the anti-Semitism and everything else, it's Hollywood. Anti-Semitism does not work well in Hollywood. Not at all.
Well, it's Disney too, but yeah. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, the woman that plays, I can't remember her name. She was a wrestler, wasn't she?
Yes.
Has been fired from the show. Actually, she's not been fired. She's just not been rehired, I think is what Disney said, because of some sensational tweets or whatever. I read that one of them was like transphobic.
Yes, she's had several very inflammatory social media posts.
Wow.
I mean, everything from COVID is a hoax to the election was a fraud. I mean, all the very, very right-wing sort of comments. Yes.
Well, and posts. I heard that she was an anti-masker too or something.
Yes, she's very anti-vaccine, anti-vax, and she has also lately been shown to be anti-Semitic too. So
great. Well, I got news for her, and this is coming from a gay man. It kind of struck me funny that she had transphobic comments when she's kind of butch.
Yeah, she's built. She's a big girl.
Yeah. I would have thought maybe she was, if not trans, she might be leaning toward lesbian. I don't know. I'm just saying that from a gay man's perspective. But anyway, anyway, she's not in the picture anymore, apparently.
And that, it's kind of sad just because I really liked her. I've said before, her premiere or her introductory episode is Bryce Dallas Howard's episode in season 1, and it's one of my favorites in season 1. And her character, the way they develop it throughout season 1 at the beginning of season 2 is great. I mean, it's really good, and she had a lot of potential there. But you could kind of feel it in the last 2 episodes. She really didn't do anything. And it was kind of like Favreau went, let's just she doesn't need to be in the front of everything.
Yeah. But she's one of those characters that I didn't expect to come back that did. And I was okay with it. Whereas Carl Weathers came back and I was less okay with that because I thought Carl was more of a bad guy and they still brought him back.
Yeah, I would have liked actually to see a little bit more of him and less of her. Actually, I thought it would have been interesting, in my opinion, to see that. But I do like the way they did the second season. I was going to ask. There were some moments in the last episode where I was kind of going, I don't know if I would have done that. I know what they were doing. I mean, I know because I meant to go back and research it, but it seemed like Favreau had written almost all of this season. Last year, they had several other writers, and he, I think, wrote 2. But I think I kept seeing written by Jon Favreau, written by, you know, no matter who had
I can't
directed.
remember. I noticed there were a few different directors.
Yeah, they always have like 5 different directors that do.
But I mean,
stuff.
they're like 2 different from the first season.
Yes. Yeah, I think there were 2 new ones. But I mean, and I know what they were trying to do. They were making the statement that the bond between Mando and Grogu had developed
You
to
say
such a
that
point.
like it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Well, yeah, well, but Grogu sounds better than Baby Yoda. I really hate that. But 2 things that I took away from it was, again, I love the way they've done the mythos is great. The way they've developed this world is great. Their photography's good, costuming, all the design elements. But I know they were trying to say their bond had become so strong that he's willing to break his creed. He's willing to show his face. Something that was he was willing to die in the first season before you would see his face. Mm-hmm. And in this one, he does it to free the child. That's basically the reason for it. Twice, not just once, twice.
I was thinking it was more than once, but it's been a moment since I've seen it, and I can't remember.
Yeah,
why that broke the bond.
And I was kind of like, that's okay. I could see that, and they didn't really do anything with the child. I was waiting for something, some kind of, now he's got another special ability, or he can do something. But no, basically he was moving the stormtroopers around and making them hit each other, which was kind of funny. Then he did your thing where as soon as it was over, he went, just passed out. Then at the end,
Baby Yoda tired.
Hero shows up, rescues him, says, "I'll take good care of him. Bye-bye." Gone. And I was like, really?
Well, and what did you think of that? I mean, that's a huge spoiler. However, if you've not seen it by now, then you're probably not the biggest fan. But
so spoiler alert, stop right now before, but I thought it was good. I thought it went on too long before the reveal. I mean,
one time, like him flying in and just
one time across the bridge, killing 5 mechs is good, but then you have another hallway kill, and then you've got another one, and then you're in the big room and you kill them all. Then finally we're at the control room, and I'm like, okay, we didn't need all. It's
that may have been what I was a little disappointed the first time I saw it. And then after I slept on it, I was like, oh, you know what? It actually was a good decision. And maybe that's why it bothered me, because of the lead up that you're talking about.
It was too long, because, they're all in the control room. There's no way out. The big black elite stormtroopers, the robotic stormtroopers, have been activated, and they've come back, and they're going to attack, the control room. And you see an X-Wing. And they all see the X-Wing fly by. And I thought, no, but they've already shown X-Wings in the series. So I thought, maybe, what? No. But then they show, the silhouette, everything else, and you see the green lightsaber go. And I immediately went, okay, that's fucking Luke, dude. That is fucking Luke. I swear to God. But then it's literally like 5.5 minutes before he finally pulls the hood back. And he's standing in the control room. And I went, okay, we could have tightened that up a little bit.
They probably shouldn't have built it up as much, because it was almost anticlimactic when it was finally revealed. Yeah.
And
that's probably the feeling I had.
And he has 3 lines and basically says, I'll take care of him. Then R2 shows up and is all cutesy, and then they will go off into the sunset. It's like, that was it? Really? That was the end? That was it?
Well, it did make me a little teary. And then after the fact, I was like, all right, they can finally move on to a different story. It doesn't have to be about Baby Yoda anymore.
Yes, please.
That's the best thing.
But so much of the myth building he did in this season was great. I loved the other Mandalorian group that showed up. I loved the whole ice spider scene with the frog lady. That whole episode was cool. I love the whole Ton Tano, the other Jedi, the dual saber Jedi girl.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember her name.
She's played by Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
And I love that episode. My favorite episode still probably is the one with the giant worm. I thought that episode just kicked ass.
Yeah,
The
very Dune inspired.
Thing.
Yeah, the first one of season 2.
Yeah, it's like very Western-ish.
Oh, very. It's like,
Timothy
we'll repair your ship if you'll kill the monster for us, kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that episode. So
yeah,
who cares if what's her face comes back, and who cares if Baby Yoda comes back? Let's see where they go next.
I'm ready. I'm all about it.
Yeah, me too.
It was well done. I really enjoyed it. But what about you? What have you been doing?
I went to Poland, believe it or not.
Really? Was it cold there?
I happened to catch the very first Polish slasher movie called Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight.
Where do you find these?
Actually, that poster that is next to me in the picture, if you're watching on YouTube, is in Polish. It actually is called Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. I found this movie on Shudder. It got fairly high ratings, not outstanding. It is relatively new. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to describe this movie. It hit a nostalgic spot for me, even though it's a foreign film, because it harkens back to the 80s slasher movies, especially Friday the 13th. Okay. And except it's modern. I mean, like one of the characters is gay. You never really saw that much in like Friday the 13th movie. It's stupid. I mean, there's logic problems out the wazoo, and I wouldn't, say this is the greatest movie in the world. You have to see it. But I was thoroughly entertained the entire time I watched it. So,
okay.
I don't really have much else to report on it because not only is it the first Polish slasher film, it's probably the first Polish film I've ever seen.
Now, was it in Polish and you watched it dubbed or subtitled, or or was it?
Yes, it was subtitled.
Okay.
And it is available on Shudder for those of you that like to watch. I think it may actually be on Amazon too.
Did it have a good villain or bad guy or monster or whatever?
You know what? I totally screwed up. It's on Netflix. Sorry, it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay. And did it have a good monster or bad guy or killer or whatever?
Well, it's set up really early in the backstory that the monster, and you can see him down in the lower corner over here.
Yeah.
Is actually two monsters. They're twins, and it's not a spoiler because you see a picture of two twin boys in a house at the very beginning of the movie, and you kind of go, "Oh, I get it."
Okay.
But and they both are horribly disfigured, and you don't know why until about 3/4 of the way through the film when they reveal what happened to them.
Okay.
Which is totally out of left field and not like Friday the 13th at all, because they basically it basically turns into Jordy Verrill from Creepshow, where they find a meteor in it and one of the kids keeps it under their bed and they get like radiation poison from it because it cracks open and
okay.
It's a little bit of a creature feature too, but it's mainly a grim horror slasher movie along the lines of something like Home from X-Files with like a cannibal family.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. So, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's got terrible, totally stupid shit happens in it. And one of them gets killed with a machete. I mean, basically stabbed about 20 times. But then, as the credits roll, sits up. It's like, okay, are they going for Halloween here or what? I thought that one was dead. So
okay.
Anyway, if you want to get your polar slasher film fix, I highly recommend Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight.
Nobody
on
Sleeps
Netflix.
in the Woods Tonight. Well, I mean, as a potential segue, the fact that we're talking about monsters and things in the woods, there you go.
Oh.
We've got a good setup for our
we do.
Our feature this week, which is in the science fiction realm. We are going to go back in time a little bit to 1958. And we are going to talk today about I Married a Monster from Outer Space. Another one of those titles like the movies Tim has been watching lately. No One Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. All of those.
A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I Married
Very
a Monster
long
from Outer
titles.
Space. Very long titles. Very long titles. Different than, Alien, Abyss, Armageddon, all those. But it was directed by Gene Fowler Jr. It was written by Louis Vitas and actually starred Tom Tryon, Gloria Talbott, Peter Baldwin, a bunch of other people, some people that you recognize, some you don't. Synopsis, very simply and straightforwardly, is we are preparing for the nuptials of a couple at the beginning of it, hence the title. But during one night, a drive in the woods sort of thing, the husband is abducted by a mysterious cloud and an alien. And we quickly learn that the alien has taken his place. So he will end up, because he really is an alien inside this human shell body. He's not the only one. Slowly and surely, the aliens begin to take over various males in the small town that we never find out what the name of it was. And you learn by the end of it that the reason they're doing it is because their planet suffered a horrible natural catastrophe. All the women died, so they're basically doomed to extinction unless they can find a way to mate. So it's it's that 50s cliche of, Mars needs women sort of thing, without really saying Mars needs women. So that's the first key for it, is Mars needs women.
I don't even know if I have any keys, but
what did
I
you
will come up with some.
I don't know if I have any keys.
Well,
What did you think?
we neglected to say that on our last podcast, we forgot to do keys for the second version of The Raven. But I think we made clear enough that both those movies were so ridiculous that there was really no need for keys.
Oh, yeah. Now, I will say, in defense of this movie, I will say I like this movie a lot better than either of the Ravens. I got to say.
I've always liked this movie. I've liked this movie since I was a child.
Yeah. Oh, when did you first see it? When you were little?
I don't remember when, but I have a feeling it was, on television, something like Shock Theater or something.
That's when I saw it. I saw it on Shock Theater, Saturday afternoon. It was great.
Yeah, it's a Saturday afternoon kind of movie for sure.
But it scared me. It was a scary movie to me. I like the way they do the horror effects in it, sort of thing. Worked for me.
This guy here, that's creepy.
The way they do the lightning flashes and it reveals their inner monster sort of thing doesn't make any logical sense, but it does. And I like the creature suit was kind of weird, but the face was real mutated and different, and it wasn't a typical, creature look sort of thing. So I liked that.
It's twisted. Yeah.
Yeah. Humanoid, but weird.
Yeah. It's got like almost like tentacles.
Yeah. I thought the
tubes.
I thought the acting was good in this. I thought she was really good in it. I was surprised I didn't really remember her from anything else, really. But I liked her a lot.
She looked very familiar to me, but when I looked up her other stuff, I didn't know it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was like one other movie she was in that I recognized when I did the research, but nothing that stood out. She did a lot of television too. She went on to do a lot of different, 60s television.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I don't have a lot on the cast, but I did notice that Gene Fowler, the director, also did I Was a Teenage Werewolf, which I think would make a great pairing with this movie, probably.
It would, actually. It was that I also saw that one on Shock Theater, and that was another one that it was pretty good at this time period. One of those where the title really is so bad that you think the movie's going to be bad, but it's not.
Well, that's definitely what this movie is, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there are several of those that I was like, wish they'd had a different title because it doesn't do the movie justice, sort of thing.
No, this is a decent movie with a terrible title.
Yes.
Yes. And then the writer also did Monster from Green Hell, which I just love that title.
I'm sure
Imagine
you
that.
do. Yep, haven't seen that one. Darn, missed it.
Yeah. So what do you this is my impression of the movie from a modern standpoint. I have not seen this movie in a long time, but as I was watching it, I thought that the theme was centered around, men's fear of matrimony, that old stereotype or cliche of, once you're married, you lose your freedom, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of saw that motif in this movie, but I told you that I did some research on Tom Tryon. And one of the reasons I've always been a Tom Tryon fan is because he got fed up with the acting business and left and became a writer.
Okay.
He wrote The Other, which was a very big bestseller. He wrote Harvest Home, which was also a bestseller and turned into a movie. Yeah,
I did not know
that.
I did not know that.
Oh, I thought you knew all this.
No, you're informing me. Tell me.
Okay. Well, Tom Tryon got fed up with the film business in the late 60s, and he saw Rosemary's Baby, and he said, I can do that. And he went and wrote The Other, and it was a huge bestseller.
Okay.
And he basically left the movie business to become a writer. And his second novel was Harvest Home, which they turned The Other into a movie. They turned Harvest Home into a miniseries for television. It had Bette Davis in it.
Right. I remember that.
And those are really the only two that I know he's known for. He had written others. He's dead now. But when I was researching this, because I was wanting to know why he left, and I couldn't really find why he got fed up with Hollywood, but I did find out that he divorced his wife and was gay, and I had no idea. And apparently died of AIDS in 1991. Really? Yes. And his ex, or not ex, but I guess his widower, was said some things that were not too kind about him in the way people sometimes speak of Rock Hudson. Whereas if he had not been so quiet about what was going on with him, people would have been aware more of the crisis or what have you. However, he didn't die until 91. So, I think Rock Hudson died in 86. But anyway.
Yeah. So interesting, because I had always thought he had died of cancer or heart attack or something like that. I never heard the AIDS thing.
They may have said it was a complication of AIDS.
Okay.
But yeah, it could have been cancer.
I mean, okay, let's set everything up the way we normally do, which is this. Mm-hmm. When you watch this movie, if you've never seen this movie before while you're listening to us, please go watch it now and then come back. But you have to accept the time that this movie was made, mm-hmm. and the things because it's extremely misogynistic.
It's terrible.
Extremely. So, it's all about, it's his last day of freedom, Marge, because, you get the old ball and chain and, and the guys are always at the bar. The women are always supposed to be, let's cook and clean and be domestic. And it's very misogynistic in a
mm-hmm.
lot of ways. But I think the underscore underneath it is, like you said, it's that, what is that? Is there thematic? I think they lost their thematic halfway through, if you want to be truthful about it, because I think they were trying to say that this monster could be humanized. You know, the typical science fiction thing. I never knew humans could be this way, and now I kind of feel sorry for them, and I like them. But they didn't give into that at all. They just
because they come in like the Borg, ready to assimilate.
Correct, and and take over and everything, and then it's suddenly when they get defeated, even the one that's in the police commissioner's body does that whole final ending, transmission to the ship saying the Earthlings know we can never come back, blah, blah, blah. And then it shows literally like 4,000 spaceships flying away from Earth. You're going, where were these damn things?
And they're saucers too. That's funny. Yeah.
But I think they lost their dynamic. But what I was getting at in a long way was, you and I kind of text when you watched it this week, and I got a distinctive kind of gay vibe from him the entire time.
Right.
And I was like, not just him, but the rest of the cast, basically. And I was like going, then he's married? Okay, I guess. All right, sure.
Yeah. Well, and back to what I was getting at. Well, I always thought he was kind of hot. So I thought, you know what? Let me do some more research on him. And it turns out he's gay. And then I seem to remember or feel like this movie was set up of, men having trepidation toward marriage.
Right.
But now, knowing he's gay, there's like this huge homo subtext going on where they're like in the secret men's club. I'm like, this is hilarious. It made me laugh and view this movie on a whole nother level than I've ever thought of before. Because it's been that, I probably hadn't seen it since I was a kid. So I don't know.
It's interesting that he gave up Hollywood, went to the writing career, but was successful and everything, because he's actually really good in this. I like his portrayal. He handles himself really well. He's got some really cool sequences where he's trying to fight that I'm an evil alien on the inside, but I'm nice to her, but I'm not, but I am, sort of that contradiction you have to play. I liked a couple of the supporting guys. I definitely disagree with the wardrobe person who cast the guy in the black jacket, black shirt, white tie, hat, and white shoes, the gangster guy. And I was going, okay, we don't have to be so cliche in our wardrobe to say gangster guy, who I thought could have been a really cool sort of, I like that scene and the way they wrote it, because in the 50s especially, that was really interesting to see that he could have been a hope for her. And then the policemen just go, do we need him? Nah, because the policemen are both aliens,
Right. I like that effect too, when they assimilate the men or take over the men's body, that weird fog effect. I thought that was cool.
It's the key for that to me is it came from outer space, because they do the same sort of thing and it came from outer space, except they use bubbles instead of smoke. That kind of, it slowly takes over and then they disappear and it dissipates and goes away. And then, like we said, the lightning on when lightning flashes on their face, you can see the alien inside, which is never done as well as the scene where she goes to the police commissioner, the police chief, and is telling him the whole story. And he seems like the fatherly old grandfather. I'll help you out. It's okay, Marge, go back home, da, 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 da. And then as she leaves, he turns around to the window and the lightning flashes and you see he's an alien. I went, yes, that was a good scene.
I mean, all of a sudden, like all the men are almost, it seems like all the men, except what's his face, the doctor, obviously is not.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then you have the March of the Married Men, which goes back to your kind of thematic thing. The only ones that can help and defeat the monster are the ones that are married already and have babies, because the big crux is they're trying to inhabit the bodies of humans so that they can conduct experiments and change themselves inside the men so that they can impregnate the women.
Right.
Because this movie does cover a long
in the
span
beginning
of
they
time.
can't impregnate them. It's got something to do with their inner workings or something.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. They can't do it. And then at the end, the big Deus Ex married is the doctor realizes that, how do we know if anybody's human? Wait, I know, because they've given birth. Then they must be real men, sort of thing. And then,
thanks, Doc Logic.
Yeah, he and a posse of married fathers go into the woods to kill the aliens with their dogs, which was interesting. I thought that was a good, kind of little twist I hadn't seen before. Mm-hmm. The weapons don't work on the aliens, so the dogs are their only hope, kind of thing. And I liked that. I liked that they killed one of the dogs. The aliens are bad. Don't trust them. They're bad. Mm-hmm. There's another It Came from Outer Space and also Body Snatchers feel to this whole movie. It's definitely Body Snatchers because it literally is Body Snatchers.
You know what? I think I have that as a key. I do have some keys, by the way. I was actually jotting some down as we were speaking. Yeah, I don't know. It does seem to me like, when I was researching Tom Tryon, back to the gay thing, the reason I researched it I researched further when I found out he was gay, is I started thinking he was right around the time of that whole beefcake controversy with that agent Henry Wilson that, represented Rock Hudson and, the blonde guy. I'll never think of his name now. The one that was in polyester. Anyway, Tab Hunter, and a lot of gay men and a lot of straight men were abused by the quote casting couch, and agents like Henry Wilson that preyed on them. And I thought, maybe that's why Tom Tryon left Hollywood. Maybe he got tired of, having to sleep with guys he didn't want to sleep with to get a part. And that's why I left. But I could not find any ties to Henry Wilson because he's the notorious one.
Well, his partner forever was from a chorus line, right? He was an actor, you said.
Yeah. He had apparently he had an affair or a partnership with a porn star too. There was one that was in the chorus line, and there was one that was a porno guy.
Okay, well there you go.
So yeah. So I guess he had ties to New York.
Yes, obviously.
Yeah.
What about I complimented her. I think she does a very good job in this movie. Oh. She's basically it's her POV all the way through too. This is basically her movie, her dynamic all the way through. I thought she handled it really well without doing that typical late 50s, I'm going to scream every 5 minutes sort of thing. Because she didn't really. As a matter of fact, she goes into the woods by herself to follow him at night and everything. I thought they stuck to their guns with regards to some of the horror in it, killing the other guy, the cops killing the gangster, killing the dog.
I love some of the effects. I love when somebody gets lasered, they vaporize.
Yeah, and they go into the skeleton and
it's very War of the Worlds, which is another key.
Yep.
And then I love when they melt into what looks kind of like the Blob, which is another key. It's like soap suds or whatever.
Oh, they turn into the suds when their body is destroyed. Because basically we learn, Deus Ex Married Men, that they're not really inhabiting the actual physical bodies of these humans. The humans are actually back in their ship, hooked up to a control system, and the aliens are wearing a manifestation, a shell of them.
Right. And that reminded me of This Island Earth.
Yes. Yep. It was very This Island Earth at that time period. Mm-hmm. And there was another one I could not remember. I can't think if it's David Lynch's Dune with the Harkonnens or if it's something else, but there's another one where the whole sequence has these people kind of levitating, hanging like that with cables coming from them that are powering the thing or that are in contact with them. And I can't remember the reference I'm thinking of, but I've seen that a couple of times. Mm-hmm. You know, it's even to the point, like you said earlier, it's very Borg-like, mm-hmm. You know, to hook up.
Yeah,
to
a lot
ship.
of this movie reminds me of the Borg. Back to what's her face, Gloria Talbott.
Gloria Talbott.
The reason I probably recognize her is she was in All That Heaven Allows, which is a Douglas Sirk movie with Rock Hudson and Jane Wyman.
Okay.
But the reason I want to know her better is she's in 2 horror movies I've never seen. One is Leech Woman, and one is The Cyclops.
Leech Woman. I seem to have remembered seeing that at some point.
Cyclops was 57. Leech Woman was 1960. She drained men of their loves and lives.
Yeah, Leech Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
But like I said, other than that, you know, All That Heaven Allows is really the only other title I recognize of her. Now, she did a lot of television. I think a lot of these folks went on to television, including the director and writer.
Well, I also wanted to plug Wally Westmore, who is the guy that does the makeup. So he designed the creatures. He also is the person who designed the makeup for War of the Worlds, mm-hmm. And a lot of other television shows. He did a bunch of television too, but he was a favored makeup artist for Jerry Lewis. So he did all of Jerry Lewis's movie, like the Nutty Professor and the Bellhop and all of those, the Patsy.
I think the makeup's very original, and I've never seen anything like it until maybe Predator. It looks a little bit like Predator.
I could see that, yeah, with the twisted face and all of that.
Well, and the shape of it, almost like dreads. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he's of the Westmore family because the Westmore, basically his son took over makeup department at NBC and he worked on Star Trek and he designed, Nimoy's ears and all that fun stuff.
Oh,
he was a Westmore. Cool. So I wanted to bring that out as well because we never really see any other science-y fiction. As a matter of fact, their guns even look like a toilet paper roll with 3 wires coming out of it. They don't do anything with, with technology in this movie, really. We never see the ship other than a door and a really, really couple of bad cardboard walls when they're inside the ship.
Mm-hmm. It cracks me up that you don't see the ship at all. It's just a doorway into the woods.
Yeah, it's just a doorway, literally a doorway into the woods. Because evidently they have some kind of camouflage that you don't see the ship until the door opens.
Yeah, it's called we don't have a budget for a ship.
Basically, we don't have a budget for our ship, yes. But I thought it was it still works for me. I like the fact that this movie has some science fiction elements, but it's also creepy and scary in places. The lighting works.
I totally agree. I don't dislike this movie. It's hokey and strange and crazy in places, but it's got a place in my heart for nostalgic reasons as well, I would say. This movie would have scared me as a kid. It's a movie that I saw often probably as a kid. Like another movie that comes to mind that's terrible now, I'm sure if you watch it, is that movie Gargoyles. You remember that movie?
I love that movie on NBC. That was a great movie. Nakataka-Chinko.
Yeah. It takes place like in New Mexico or somewhere.
Yeah, at the old like abandoned, almost bad museum of with rattlesnake skeletons and all of that kind of stuff. And then the guy tells the story of the gargoyles.
And it's those movies that we always saw on Saturday afternoons. Another one I'm thinking of is that one called The Bubble, where the people are in the town that's encased. And they have to go and eat this weird shit. I don't there's so many strange movies out there.
The one that it reminded me of, and I think mostly because this movie has a very high contrast photography. I mean, low contrast photography, everything's kind of like really flat looking gray. They filmed everything day for night, which,
that's what I thought.
One of my notes is, man, this place has the brightest moons. But it reminded me of another one, which we may want to put on our list sometime, called The Monolith Monsters, which really scared me as a kid, and I haven't seen it since, and I'm wondering if it would still scare me. Basically, the story is, at the time, a meteorite crashes, but when you touch it, you start turning into stone. And it slowly takes over your whole body. And at the same time, it starts growing. So it grows like crystals, this whole monolith grows up, and then it like falls over, and all the little pieces then start growing and everything. And it's slowly moving toward the town.
Oh, it has Grant Williams in it. He was in The Shrinking Man, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was one of his first movies, I think. And
it's called The Monolith Monsters. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know that I know this movie.
So it might be one we might want to look at too. But it reminded me of that, the same kind of feel to it, the female heroine, that same kind of low contrast, black and white look, the isolated town that, where every bar has a checkered tablecloth.
Yeah. It's like a gingham Italian restaurant. Yeah. I know. What you mean.
I was going, yeah. I'm looking at my notes right now because I even wrote down, because everybody wants to drink in a bar with a checkered tablecloth. Wait, I've got some good notes here. Some are funny. I've got, so space monsters smoke. That's kind of weird.
That's what I know. And what's so funny is they're like, they don't drink anymore, but they still smoke.
Yeah. I've got, this is so on the nose for paranoia and body snatchers. My neighbors aren't the same. He's not the man I married,
Yeah. The thing that really made me laugh as far as the gay subtext is when his friend, Sam, I think's his name.
Yeah, Sam.
Turned into one, and he goes, "Hey, Sam, let me make you a drink." And he's like, "I may have lost my taste for alcohol too." And I'm like, "What are you saying?"
Right.
It's like the gayest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's like they were each trying to size each other up. Yeah, they were each trying to size each other up without saying it. Sort of
it was
thing.
Like they were flirting with each other. I was like, this is hilarious. I mean, that's when I started texting you. I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy.
And then doesn't he say something like, the so-and-so, something like the CO2 monitors have been upgraded. You'll need to go back to the ship tonight. What? Is that like funny. A Turkish bath? Where are you going? I don't know what you're doing. Yeah.
Right.
I also have in my notes a key for Kolchak, because I do think there was an episode like this where he had to go into the UFO to unplug the guy who had been taken over. Seem to remember that. I may be imagining it, but I'm pretty sure that's a Kolchak episode. And then I guess
I don't remember that.
My last key.
I don't remember any spacey Kolchaks. I thought they were all monsters.
No, there were two different space ones. There was one where it was very like X-Files, where he finds out that the big covert government organization has a UFO.
Oh, okay.
And then there's another one where the UFO actually lands and takes over somebody. And he, like an alien abduction one, and or alien manipulation, and he solves the case.
Okay.
And then my last key is the final broadcast that like I said, that the chief inspector, the police chief makes is very like The Thing, except it's from the opposite point of view. And The Thing, the newspaper guys at the microphone going, beware, look to the skies and beware and in this one, he's talking to the alien saying, go away. Earth can't be conquered. They don't know, they found out about us, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. When he pulls out the little communication device.
Corkscrew with 2 wires on it, basically, is what it looked like. And
I was going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
And they animated the little. It's like a bad Bugs Bunny cartoon in between it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then he falls over and turns
into bubbles, but we don't get to see the bubbles.
Yeah. I have some keys. Some are my own. Some are ones I wrote down or I copied and pasted. And this one I copied and pasted. Near the end of the film, the alien's hand weapon looks like one that the Klingons used in the original Star Trek series with a shorter barrel.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
No, it doesn't. No, it's a toilet paper tube with like 3 sticks coming out of it. It looks terrible. I think what they are saying is, the structure is similar. The Klingon disruptor has it's not got like a 90-degree handle on it. It's got like a curve, kind of like a bone sort of thing. And as a matter of fact, I have one right over here, but I'm not going to go get it right now. But it has 3 points that come out of it that fire the disruptor beam. So yeah, I guess you could maybe say sort of, but no, it doesn't look anything like a disruptor.
Oh, there's the, I just put a picture up that shows the space saucer's door that's basically in the woods.
Yeah, the wood door. Yeah.
As far as other keys, another one I had was Stepford wives because, they're not what they appear to be. The whole paranoia.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole, even the scene where the bartender comes to him and goes, "So what's wrong with my liquor? You come in here, you buy my liquor, and you're not drinking it. What's wrong with you guys?"
Yeah, who does that?
Yeah. Right.
Do bartenders really do that? I mean, I used to be a bartender. You used to be a bartender. Did you ever complain to people for not drinking?
Well, in Mayberry here with our checkered cloth, you got to come over and say, "Are you insulting my liquor that I brew in the back with my hooker here?" Or whatever.
He's like, "Why are you bothering us? We ordered a drink."
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that scene too. Yeah, the hooker girl goes up to sees the figure in the hoodie and goes up to him, and it turns out that it's an alien, and he shoots her.
She gets blasted.
Yeah,
she's one of the ones that vaporizes.
Yeah.
This is another one I didn't know, and I still really don't know it. It says the house used for the exterior of Marge and Bill's home was located at 4946 Melrose Hill Street in Los Angeles, and that this is the same house used in Halloween H2O. I did not know that. And I mean, I haven't seen Halloween H2O in 20 years, but I kind of liked it at the time. I remember because Jamie Lee Curtis came back for it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the house.
Well, that's a good trivia. That's a good little piece there. Yeah.
And then the title theme by Nathan Van Cleve is a combination of his themes for both Conquest of Space. No, excuse me. It's a combination of his theme for Conquest of Space with new elements added. So do you know what Conquest of Space is?
Yeah, that was a science fiction film that came out I think mid to early 50s.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but it's not got a great story from what I remember.
Well, apparently it's the same composer, and he just recycled his music.
There you go. Just add some different instrumentation here.
It's probably because they didn't give him any damn money. Just like the spaceship.
Yeah. Look, but anyway, I'll write an original score for you when you give me a real spaceship.
Yeah. But as far as keys, I mean, I don't have any other ones, except the whole, there's other movies besides the Stepford Wives and The Thing where people aren't what they appear to be. And there's a lot of paranoia going on because of it. You know what I mean? Those paranoid movies.
Yeah, it's a huge, motif underneath a lot of science fiction and underneath a lot of television science fiction as well. Mm-hmm. Invaders, the Roy Thinnis Invaders thing was the whole thing about you don't know that this guy beside you is really an alien kind of thing. And the guy's trying to get the word out. And that's the whole deal of the whole series.
There was that show V too.
V had them. But V, they said they were aliens. You know, they
I don't
actually.
know. I never watched it. I remember Robert Englund was in it, but
Well, they had
I never
orange
watched
jumpsuits with boots, and so yeah, and they kind of said, "I'm an
it. They
alien."
looked
with
like
it.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, they look like prisoners with a big black sash on their chest, sort of thing. Yeah, and the women all wore those '80s form-fitting ones that were very jumpsuit with gauntlets and
With the
boots and
really
everything.
perky tits, excuse
Oh
me,
yeah, yeah,
breasts.
yeah. Oh yeah. Because I think
Oh my
I even
gosh.
remember Jane Balder was the lead girl in it, the lead brunette. Yeah, V.
Yeah, I don't remember that show.
Now they did a remake of that a few years ago. That whole series, they did a couple of season or 3-season remake.
I seem to remember that.
Yeah,
I think it's been a minute though. Wasn't that like in the 2000s? I
don't
can't
know.
remember.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't good enough for me to watch it the first time around.
Well, I watched it the first. I mean, that's the first time I ever saw Michael Ironsides. Was
I
in
love
V.
him. He's great.
And that
When
was
you saw him in
pre-Scanners.
Scanners, yeah.
No, I think this was before Scanners.
It was? Okay.
I think so.
You know what?
I don't
You know why I think this was a while back is I want to say their motivation for them doing it was probably Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know what I'm saying? Because they brought that back and it was better. And I guess they thought, oh, we'll bring V back and it'll be better. And it wasn't. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I didn't see the remake at all, but the original was, whew, boy, not. I remember watching it, but I watched it because it was the only science fiction on. So
remember that? Remember back when that happened?
Yeah, it was close. I'm just looking it up. Scanners was 81. V, the miniseries, started in 84. So yeah, he was in V after he was in Scanners.
Yeah,
So
he
that
did a
makes
lot
sense.
of B movies. He was
And
kind of
then-
like Powers Booth.
Oh yeah, and did a lot of television, but he's also done a lot of of science fiction. I think he's pretty good at that. He did Total Recall. He did Starship Troopers. So he did a bunch of science fiction as well. He was in that terrible, what was it? Oh, the Steven Spielberg one that was so terrible. Because Spielberg doesn't do television well. I mean, Amazing Stories had a couple of good episodes, but overall wasn't good. But what was it? It was it's like Sea Lab or Space Quest or Sequest.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was not good.
I don't remember much about it, but I do remember it. I had something else I was going to say, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh well. So, how would you sum up this movie then? I Married a Monster from Outer Space.
I think it is a worthy contender for that late 50s paranoid science fiction, alien invasion, distrust your neighbor because they could be a commie sort of subtext that was there. It's got some fairly decent scares to it, in addition to a plot that kind of keeps you intrigued because they do a couple of twists of things. And it's better than The Raven in any version.
I would say it is one of those movies I remember and love from my childhood and found very entertaining. And now, as an adult, I find it far more entertaining on different levels.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of crazy shit going on in this movie that you can read into this movie. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yep.
So, well, I guess that's going to do us for this week in our 1950s sci-fi. Well, it's not a slasher, sci-fi takeover.
Yes.
We'd like to thank everybody out there that listens to us or watches us on YouTube. You can, if you are watching us, please subscribe and ring that bell. We are in the process of selecting movies for our fourth season. So we have a master list that we go through and choose from, but we can always add to that master list. If anyone out there has additions, please let us know via Facebook or email through the website, because we're always looking for suggestions, especially if it's something that you really want to hear us do.
Yes.
I neglected to say something David says at the beginning of every episode. If this is your first time listening to us, welcome. We hope you come back. If it's not, we're very appreciative of you for enduring us, indulging us, should I say. And other than that, we also have some bonus podcasts on Patreon. If you want to hop on over there, we've got the entire first season, episode by episode, of Star Trek. And we are in the process of doing one on the X-Files first season as well.
Yes.
So anything else to add there, David?
Nope. I think you said it all. Thank you guys so much for listening to us.
Oh, you can buy my book. How about that? I've got a zombie book. Buy my book.
And buy Tim's zombie book. It's really good.
All right. We will see everybody next week.
Next week.
All
Same
right.
bat
Take
time.
care.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
You can't start the car. Johnny has the